Ladies and gentlemen, in today's society, talking to oneself is known as crazy. However, can it help us become better traders? Can speaking to yourself in the third person actually help you? We're going to discuss Eliism, the act of talking to oneself, as well as show you the Ask Mark emails. We'll do a little mix of both. I am Mark Melnick. This is the Newsbeat Show. By watching the show, you're pausing this slide, reading it in its entirety, and agreeing to everything here. Here's our disclaimer. All right. Thank you very much. So, all right. All right, let's go ahead and discuss it. A lot of traders said they were having a really good day today. We'll go through their emails. Some traders maybe not so good. We'll go through them as well. But I want to tell you a little bit of a biblical story. King Solomon, he was Israelite king. And he was a very intelligent, very wise man, and people from around the globe at the time traveled to ask his advice. If you remember the famous story about the two women who claimed to be the mother of the same baby. What King Solomon did at the time, he basically said, okay, we're going to cut the baby in half and give half of the baby to each of you. Well, one woman was fine with that decision. The other woman said no, the other woman can have the baby. And that's when King Solomon knew that the true mother of the baby would never want it to be risk having it cut in half, and gave the baby to his or her rightful mother. Solomon's wisdom, though, only applied to matters external to himself. It's actually a very interesting thing called Solomon's paradox. And what he did was his own life was basically shambles of really terrible decisions, perverted, uncontrollable passions. You know, he kept hundreds of pagan wives and concubines and loved money and boasted of his riches. Sounds like certain gurus, you know, right? Ding. He neglected to instruct his only son, who grew up to be an incompetent tyrant, a bad ruler. All these sins and misjudgments contributed to the eventual demise of the entire kingdom. But, you know, this is what Solomon's paradox ultimately is. It's basically, it shows a story of something which can be easily applied to your trading. And whether these stories are true or not, or whether they're just all a big fallacy, they describe how we are often more wise when it comes to helping others than we are with themselves. You know, do as I say, not as I do. You probably heard that one before. There's something really about the distance between yourself and another that provides the space to assess a situation more objectively and control your emotions rather than let them cloud your thinking. It's easy to be an observer from the outside in because you get to look at the situation without the emotional attached bias in which your brain is going for. Now, um, I'm going to talk about Iliism, which is the art of talking to yourself in the third person. Now, you know, you might be listening and think this is very strange, annoying. Maybe you think you'll sound narcissistic or idiotic at worst. Um, just think of, for example, I don't know how many of you are dealing with kids now, but just think of Elmo in children in Sesame Street. Elmo, and he's like, Elmo wants to play. He's always referring to himself in the third person. Yet, with all the psychological research we have in the decades and scores of years of research, they now show that talking to yourself this way inside of your head is also called distanced self talk and can help foster psychological distance, a phenomenon that leads to better emotional regulation. One would easily argue very important in the world of trading. Wouldn't thou agree? So, a recent study in the clinical psychological science shows that in a robust body of work that was produced in the University of Michigan, a professor found that doing this cemented the findings that when people use words for themselves that they are usually reserved for others, like their name. For example, my name is Mark. I don't say Mark. I don't say Mark wants to do this, like Elmo wants to play, right? If you do this in the third and second, even second person pronouns, you're better able to deal with a negative emotional situation, even in emotionally intense situations, and even if they have a history of having a hard time managing your emotions. So it was a very important thing for me personally today. I had a very good trading day, one of my better trading days. But I started the day down $7,000, and that's what I'm going to be highlighting and talking about, and how I transitioned from starting the day with negative $7,000. It was like 699 something. It was like 7,000 bucks, and how I was able to handle it. If you're feeling overwhelmed from a situation, getting a little distance from yourself, saying in your head that you're going to just sort of back away from yourself, is one of the most important things, because humans have the ability for introspection, which helps us solve problems or plan for the future, perhaps. But when bad things happen or intense negative emotions arise, this introspection can transform into rumination, which is the darker cousin of introspection. And that's when we end up incessantly turning over thoughts or are plunged into these negative emotions, depression, beating the crap out of yourself mentally and worrying ourselves into oblivion. Are there ways of making introspection really work better for us? When we're struggling with this kind of trading distress, we tend to zoom in almost to the exclusion of everything else. You look at your red P&L, it's almost a tunnel vision. It's the only thing you can see. We lose the ability to take the big picture into account. Then we might have a hard time coping with strong emotions or finding ways to emotionally regulate. And emotional regulation, simply described, I would call the broad set of strategies that people use to change or modify what they're feeling. And these are all mental strategies, of course. And in those situations, being able to think about your experience from a more distanced perspective can be very insightful, very helpful. Psychological distance is a construct that's been around for a long time. It's nothing new. There are many different strategies studied that create distance from oneself psychologically. You can picture a person or a scene moving away from you into the distance. Like, for example, what is it? The opening line in Star Wars, it's like din 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 din. You see all the words like going up. Even the act of physically leaning back has shown to help more easily perform a difficult task, much like what I'm doing right now. All those things are going to decrease the emotional punch to your psychology. And, talking to yourself in the third person while exploring other distancing methods can be vital for your success. If you're having a hard time getting through a loss, if you have a hard time tilting afterwards, by talking to yourself in this third person, or even the second pronoun, by like you, for example, um, you know, studies have shown that people bypassed a lot of the effort that's usually put into trying to change your perspective to a more distant one. The idea was that we all have these tools that are baked into the structure of language that can serve this perspective shifting and distancing function. Many people have an internal monologue. Your trade. What's your internal monologue when you make a bad trade or something? F this. It's personal. It's this. It's this. Oh my God, what the F happened? Oh, I can't believe all these things happen, and which are happening with an internal monologue. And when we're actually figuring out what to do or reflecting on a trade that has just happened or guiding ourselves through these day-to-day situations, we frequently use the pronouns like I, me, mine, and my. I can't believe I did that. Why the F does this happen to me? Oh my God. I can't believe what happened to my day. So what happens is studies show that if you actually came out and modified those words, I, me, and my, for example, or mine, you can help people manage the emotional stress that accompanies public speaking. They've also found that distant self talk can be effective for people with social anxiety, who can be especially prone to stress and struggle with emotional regulation, especially if you're a trader. So, um, what I would ultimately say to do, what I would ultimately before I get into the S mark here, and I'm gonna just jump right in. We're going to try to start talking to yourself in the third person and see if it helps you. You know, what do you have to lose if you're feeling like extremely stressed out and you try a psychologically proven strategy to detach yourself from an emotionally frustrative situation per se. So you know, and keep in mind, this is internal self-talk. This is not for people who are even speaking out loud. So all these studies were actually done with people who are just talking in their own mind. So just keep that in mind. And it's just really fascinating if you just come out, for example, and let's say you have a losing trade. So today it was a few losing trades, and I was down $7,000 today. And I said to myself, you know what? It's fine. Mark, you can do it. Mark, third person, me, my name is Mark, my head. Mark, you can do this. That was nothing you could have done differently. Mark, you. You got this, Mark. Mark, Mark. You're going to take the next smart trade and you're going to be fine, Mark. See that? It's that sort of mentality that allowed me to bounce tens and tens of thousands of dollars from where I was. And I just thought I would share that with you because I think it's a very important thing to getting to the next level of trading. Now, I'm going to go right into the S marks. We're going to share that psychology. Let me know what you thought about that. Let me know if you guys want more things like that. We're going to hop right into the S mark right now. I really hope you guys enjoy those sort of talks, and let's go right to it. Hi, Mark. Yes, people with good days to send emails with tips for struggling members. Yes. So what I do is um, occasionally I'll ask, if you're having a really hard day, write in. If you're having a really great day, write in because I like to take the extremities and try to attach them together because that makes for the most dramatic education. And that makes for the most dramatic change in differential in people's lives when you look at the extremes. Today was my best day ever, due in large part to Amazon scalps totaling over $10,000. The crazy thing is, I never tiered for more than four contracts, and most of the trades were just two contracts. So he's tiering for two to four contracts of Amazon, very small, and he pulled $10,000. I couldn't even take a screenshot showing them all because there were so many, but you can definitely see how things were adding up from the attached images. I see other people in the room, Kelly W. having six-figure days. And what used to boggle my mind is, as unattainable is slowly beginning to seem within reach. I know I'll get there if I just continue slowly ticking up my tier size week after week and grow after my own steady pace. Today was like a big cherry on top of what has been an amazing years. Thank you so much for your dedication to the room and success of its members. Okay, so what we were doing. Congratulations on your amazing day. I mean, $15,000 is no joke. And look at that, just a bunch of small, consistent trades. That's what does it. $15,800. That's amazing. And what else did you share with us? Okay. Cumulative return. Oh, on Amazon. All right, so 10,700 of what you made was just Amazon. I get it. Okay. Well, thank you for your email. Yeah, those just doing a bunch of small consistent trades really add up. The next one is Tesla got me is the next email. Hi Mark, I had a losing day today. Didn't find any good one and done setup, so the first trade I made was a Tesla Mark 1 at 934. Just want to take a look. Um, I get it. I get it. It actually looked pretty good. A lot of people made money on that. I personally didn't. I was a bit brave and paid $7.20 for a $700 call. Entry was tolerable, but it shook me out violently, and I took a $50 loss even though it ran up later. With the remaining buying power, I took a couple of chart resets in Baidu, which didn't change the situation much. I still had late entries and bought out of the money calls, the latter for obvious reasons. Yeah, I know on a Monday it's really hard because of, you know, you're dealing with a smaller account. I can't wrap my head around this statement though. I know we've been over it before when you say I still had late entries. I mean, I like why? Why were your entries late? Was there a reason for it or did your system freeze? Like why? Still curious of that. My entries are still not what they're supposed to be because I'm still learning how to spot the right moment for entry in level 2. All you have to do is look at the ask and make sure the ask is below the trigger. It didn't help that my focus was off because I'm underslept and exhausted. Thank you. Well, I mean, right, so you basically ended your day down $44. I hear you. Yeah, I'm not. You say because I'm still learning how to spot the right moment for entry in level 2. Why don't you try paper trading this? It should be something that sort of comes to you automatically, my brother. And let's say if there's a trigger at $50 and the stock's at $49, as long as you see the ask below $50, 49.80, 49.90, 49.95, that's a legitimate front run entry based on my methodologies. Maybe paper trade that and try to figure it out. I think it would take you a very long way if you were to do that. And again, I know you say you were tired and whatnot and exhausted, and I'm not sure what your weekend looked like. But just try that. I think it will take you a long way, my brother. Hey, Mark. Want to thank you and our Newsbee family for helping me get through many frustrating months where I was spinning my wheels. I had my best day in many months and my best intraday without a big news play ever. I still have a ways to go, but for the first time in over 2 years in the room, I feel like I could eventually make it as a full-time trader. Of course, I'll never quit my day job until I'm printing like Booth. I used to fear the front runs. I stupidly thought, what if it doesn't trigger and I lose money? Happens all the time. I came to realize that we have to front run. Ta-da! Otherwise, the algos will steamroll us. Ta-da! The only way to make these C strategies work is to get out in front of them. Ta-da! Many times I lose very little, and even make a little sometimes on the failed front runs. I had also been using the prints on the charts for my entry for many months. Yep, that's wrong. I was so late on everything, it's amazing I was ever able to make any money doing this. I agree. Even though you always told us that you used the level 2, I was having trouble following the prices in level 2 at first and blew some trades. That made me start using the charts and prints. Harry and CT made me see the error in this, and my trading has improved 1,000% since I started using the level 2 and practicing. One other thing that might help some with smaller accounts is play the bigger names like Amazon and Tesla. I believe Liam showed me this. You can usually find a cheaper, out of the money strike that has a lot more volume than the others around it. See my attached Amazon screenshot. These contracts are usually tighter spread and move pretty well and can work for those who might not otherwise be able to play like an Amazon or Tesla. Probably not a great idea on a Friday or late Thursday due to price decay. Anyways, I can't thank you and our Newsbeat family enough for finally making me think I can make this work. So, all right, so he's giving an example of a $3,400 contract here. That is obviously, as you could see here, between the bid and offer, much relatively cheaper. And he's sharing his trades, and hey, look at that. And he doesn't have a huge account. Look at that though, but he's able to trade Amazon all day. Locked in $1,552. Well played, sir. Thanks for the advice to others. All right, question. Next is a question. At about 10:20 this morning, there was a 5-minute breakout coming on Apple. You said it was not a Mark V. Would you explain why? 10:20 this morning. Oh, right over here. So, um, let me show you. That's a good question. I'll pull it up in Microsoft Paint so I could draw it for you. And again, for those watching, these are strategies we offer you for all members of the service for free. So right over here is your first setup for the Mark 1 after this candle. But you see what happened over here is the top of this candle actually broke. The top of this candle actually broke right over there. So I don't know if you could see that, but basically the high here broke out. So that Mark 5 is done, right? Well, I wasn't asking, I was telling. It's done. So after it actually triggered here, after it actually triggered right over here, you have to wait for the next chart reset. So immediately what you do is after it triggers, you go all the way down. You go all the way down to this volume bar, and you'll realize that there was no volume bar elevation here to justify a Mark V setup. So when it ended up triggering right over there, you'll realize that there was actually no volume increase for a chart reset to justify the Mark V in the first place. And that is why it wasn't a Mark V, it was just a bull flag breakout. Okay, excellent. Hello, Mark. I had my best day today. How can I not be a little excited? Had my second 5-figure day, but during it all, I cared a lot less about it than I did other best days in the past. I just kept seeing good setups on Amazon all day long, and it just kept printing. Sometimes I would get a little over exuberant and start giving back dollars, going a little too heavy on stupid little tilt garbage. I made $22,000 today. Expect nothing from the market. I know Kelly made over 6 figures, and if I were to just maybe take 10 to 25 contracts on those Amazon trades instead of 2 to 5, 6 figures not so out of reach. Incredible trading today. We probably collectively printed a small country's GDP in a day. Those Mark 1 and Know Your Limit 8 resets all day. hmm Just see, just sharing some of your trades. All right. Congratulations on your best day. That is absolutely amazing, and keep up the amazing work. Don't, also another thing, like don't get so excited like if somebody else is printing, 100, 200, $300,000 in a day here. There are people who are going to do that. Don't feel like that's your next level. Don't. Just keep doing what you're doing. There's no need to change. I mean, you printed 22,000 today. I don't have to tell you at that rate, you make 6 million a year. There's no need for you, in my opinion, to try to catch up to anybody else. It's not a competition. It's really just you versus yourself at the end of the day. Hi, Mark. First off, thank you for the call. It really helped my toxicity through the last couple of weeks after my rough start in the first week of December. After doing over $15,000 in November, I was concerned starting December since I'm not used to the consistency. That's very common. People aren't used to becoming consistent. they're not used to it. The room clicks in and they really start becoming phenomenally consistent, and a lot of people are afraid they'll give it back afterwards. So in the first week of December, you lost 5,300, then you made 1,800, then 5,500, then another 5,500. You called December 13th. Enough said. I sometimes get really toxic chasing Tesla or Amazon and make like 150 trades trying to scalp a little at a time to make up for some losses. It's frustrating and did it again this morning with Tesla. It's almost like I expect Tesla to keep paying out because it has so often. This morning I hit Tesla on a pre one and done. I call it that because I front run in it and can feel the momentum in Tesla because I've traded so much. You hit $1,500 first thing this morning on your first trade. It's hard for you to stop right away when you go up so quickly because I enjoy it so much and thought Tesla would keep going. It's really not a one and done because Tesla sold off in the first 1 minute. After that, I lost right away in Tesla, as you did, and ended up back around zero. I got toxic and ended up chasing Tesla and other things you were calling until I was down $2,400. I chilled out, ate some breakfast, heard you call Amazon, jumped in, ended up $1,000 for the day and quit by 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I hate the swings I'm experiencing even though I'm becoming consistently profitable. This happens at least 3 or 4 times this month, but I ended up on those days. Now that I'm writing, it makes me think of you saying it's the worst kind of situation. I trade bad or toxic, then get bailed out, so then I think it's okay. How do I change this? Well, you trade bad, or were you trading Amazon poorly? I don't think you were trading Amazon poorly, or were you? Then to top it off, Amazon went on a crazy run today that I didn't participate, and now I have FOMO, even though I followed my rule of getting off by 11 Eastern. Help, I'm all over the place because I'm up for the second straight month and about to have my two most profitable months doing what you helped me learn that I do best. November was the first. Help, I get nervous now in the morning before trading starts as I'm waiting for the shoe to fall and me have a big loss. Any suggestions would be appreciated. Thank you again for everything you do. Happy New Year. So this is very interesting. We're getting an email from somebody who's on track to have this their second straight month, and not only that, their two most profitable months ever. And the problem is he's just feeling like it's going to end soon because he starts chasing, some toxic things start happening around him. My best thoughts for you are the breathing exercises. And if you're watching right now, we'll teach you how to do them. It's very simple. I'll do the first one for you. You breathe slowly and deeply in through your nose. You hold your breath only if you can for 5 seconds, and then you slowly exhale out of your mouth while your tongue is elevated. I'll show you. Step one, in through the nose all the way, hold for 5 seconds, tongue elevated, and only exhale out of your mouth. You do that 10 times and you're going to curb getting nervous. You keep on becoming consistent, it's going to get easier to overcome. That is my best thoughts for you. Do some breathing exercises in the morning. That's why I do them with the room every morning to get everybody, you know, not so excited. I mean, be honest right now. I'll ask you right now. How many people right before they trade they need to pee right before 9:30 a.m.? How many people? They need to take a leak, a whiz, a piss. You need to urinate. You need to expunge liquid excrement. Right. A lot of people, I mean, I do. I do. I do. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're sort of just releasing natural that's lovely, Alex. Um you have to release the natural he said he asked the number one and two. You have to release that natural pent up exuberance. It's almost as a method of relaxation. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, do the breathing exercises as well. Hey Mark, today was a tough day. I got tagged in Tesla very early on, $1.30 on 4 contracts in 10 seconds, so that's 520 bucks. You lost, and then made it worse holding way too long in two separate Baidu trades that didn't work. I suppose I was slightly tilted or toxic. By 10:30, I was down almost $900, which would have been close to my worst day, or best for that matter. I'm trying to stay small until I'm more consistent. I started to think that nothing was working and I should stop before I make things much worse. I decided to size down and do one contract and get back to basics, trading more carefully and not holding anything too long. I made back a little and took a short break at 11 to review the morning in my head and think about what I was doing right or wrong. I realized that I wasn't focused on the stock level 2, but rather on the option level 2. Uh-oh. And that's how I got caught holding the Baidu trades for such an eternity. I came back determined to focus on the stock level 2, wait for news or really good setups, and continue to stay in positions for a very short time. Because of the time of day and end of year, but also because I need to remind myself that I can do this and have profitable trades. I traded Amazon almost exclusively, and little by little I was making profitable trades and worked my way back to marginally positive. For most of the Amazon trades, I didn't even wait for the trigger. I just took the IV money. Overall, while the day on the whole was difficult, the experience of successfully facing the challenges and getting back to basics successfully seems to have built a confidence that's almost palatable to me, such that if I'm in a similar situation in the future, I'll be able to dig myself out of the hole that much faster. Also, if you have time, can you say a few words explaining how a bull flag 1 minute breakout works and how it differs from a Mark 1 setup? Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of times the Mark 1 can fail and then the stock will eventually go because it's still in the bull flag formation. A lot of Mark 1s are bull flags. Thank you for everything as always. So, um, that was pretty much a large part. So you finished the day up $30. You came back from, getting crapped on by Tesla. You came back in Amazon in a very positive way. My thoughts overall are, you know, it was sort of what I was explaining earlier about the third person narration. If you're able to talk to yourself in that third person, you will have a much easier time getting to that next level when you need to, because you're sort of removing yourself from the situation. So, one of the important things that I want to highlight in your email is right over here. This line was crucial to your recovery. I made back a little and took a short break at 11 to review the morning in my head. You literally were having that conversation in my head. You shouldn't have been doing that. You shouldn't have been watching the option level 2. You should have been watching the stock level 2. And sort of that third person mentality, which I discussed, is sort of what you've been applying. So that's tremendously important. So yeah, I I got tagged for 7,000 on Tesla and had a good day afterwards because I was able to remain strong psychologically. I wanted to death by 1,000. I wanted to go over my day. I started out with many losses and then got it all back after 11 a.m. Net profit of $6. I only took front runs and only the ones you were focusing on. I could tell that if I could tell that I was trading okay because usually when I took a loss, you also did. Plus, when you exited with profit, I was also exiting at the same time usually. That's a cool coincidence. Please see my attached trades and see if this is what it should look like. Um, hmm. So you did a one and done about. See, I don't know what all these numbers are. I don't know what negative 28 and 285 mean. Oh, I see. Those are next to each other. I see. So you did. All right, I see. Then you made it back trading Amazon today. Yeah, pretty much. I felt zero emotion all day, zero joy, zero pain. My only focus was to trade intelligently based on your methodologies. That's critical. Now that the market is closed, I can assess the situation. One glaring issue that I can see is that I have tons of small losses and a few larger winners. It's like death by a thousand cuts as my win rate is 31%. This is because most of the time the front run entries just don't trigger and I take a small loss, or they trigger and then immediately the offer drops below the trigger and I mark it out for a break even or take a very small loss due to the bid ask spread. I'm tracking every type of entry so that I can see what I do best. Currently, I do zero strategies well, as they are all losers for me, but I need to just keep working to grow. You still do something best, even if you have a losing trade. If I shoot 10% from the free throw line, 5% from the field, and 5%, but 10% from the 10% from the free throw line, 5% from the 3-point field, and 5% from the, anywhere else on the court, I shoot free throws the best, even if 10% isn't a lot. See my point? Then you could focus on improving on what you already do well. One more small issue is on non-names like Amazon. Right when the bar closes, the offer is already above the trigger. Huh? It never drops below such that an official front run is just not possible. I disagree. These are the ones that go many times. How do you personally handle that special situation? So a lot of times, I think I see what you're saying. So for example, if you're dealing with like an Amazon, and let's say you do something, you get the green bars, then you get the red bars, and then you get the red bar, and then you get the red bar, but all of a sudden, for example, the next bar comes up like this, like real close, and maybe even breaks it a little, and then when the next bar opens up, it goes. So usually what I do on this bar right over here, and a lot of people in the room I'm sure do this as well, what I'll actually do is I'll buy in as a front run before the bar closes. So if the bar is looking like this bar that I have highlighted here inside there, if the bar looks like that and it's closing right near the top and there's like 57 seconds, 58 seconds, always know when a bar is going to close, by the way. You need a timer or clock on your computer. There's one that naturally comes. You know, Definitely know exactly when the bar closes. That's important. So if you see like 56 seconds, 57 seconds, 58 seconds, and then you see the bar up there, usually I'll just buy in right there because I'll be my front run. I hope you found that very helpful. I hope that information was helpful to a lot of you. So yeah, very important. Very good email. All right. Hey Mark, whoa, I'm fried from today's trading. Amen, brother. Finally hit the five-figure mark with a $17,000 day. I've never come close to cracking the five-figure day before. I've come close to cracking the five-figure day before, but it never happened. I never took any trades today to make a certain amount of money or to get a certain P&L in total. This is the key here. This is why I tell people when they start trying to derive like risk units and certain profit targets and certain um, you know risk units that will literally transform into loss units when you're wrong, and win units, I guess, when you're right, and you'll make, you risk $1,000 and you'll make, 2, 3 thousand if you're right, or you'll lose 1,000 if you're wrong. Um, yeah, I found that the majority of people cannot make that work. I just traded what was in front of me. I'm pretty good at that. About that. The one thing I've been working on is sizing up to my comfort level, and that really just comes naturally. I tell people that all the time. I don't set goals on option size or day trading. It's just growing at the rate I've been comfortable with. I think that's the key. A lot of people on Wall Street will tell you got to break out of your comfort zone. I don't really agree with that so much. As you know, I started day trading in certain things, maybe like maybe eating healthier, or if you're using a Robinhood account, you need to learn how to use another account. Getting comfortable with those things are like almost almost I feel like so mandatory in this industry unless you're making money with, a Robinhood account, which is incredible. As you know, I started day trading around Memorial Day and had five-figure months in July and August. I didn't do as well in September and October as I had never really adopted the front run strategy and was able to make the easy money in August being somewhat less disciplined. That hurt me in September and October, and I squeaked out some minor four-figure profits. November came around and I had COVID for the first 3 weeks, but was able to squeak out a decent month. I log every trade I do and note to the digit what I do well between the three time frames I track: 9:30 to 11, 11 to 3, 3 to 4. Those are the best three time frames to track. Thank you for mentioning that. Those are the three most important time frames in my opinion. I also track my P&L for these time frames, absolutely. For example, I knew in December that my hit rate on the Know Your Limit 21 on the 1 minute was almost zero, so I just stopped doing them. Exactly. Once I got through November and got my brain back from COVID fog, I guess COVID causes people's foggy head, I'm sure. I've just slowly been improving my weeks in December, now up 30,000. This is my journey, and it's where I need to be, knowing that there are others having incredible months and days. Their great performance just inspires me to keep pushing. It's like when I go to the gym and I'm around other people lifting causes me to just push harder. I love this room. The people in it just rock and make me money every day. I can't thank you enough, Mark, for everything you have done and continue to do. It's been really cool to see how the market has changed and how you changed with it, making us even better. This shit is life changing. Thank you for the email. I appreciate it. And thanks for mentioning the time frame periods. I think that was a very important thing. The 9:30 to 11, the 11 to 3, the 3 to 4. These are crucial things to track as you're trading. And when I want to I know I like to highlight my losses. And yes, I had a very, very, very good day. Um, it's but being down that $7,000. Like 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would be depressed. I would be a complete ass to the people around me. I would not be a nice person to the people I love. Um, that would sort of just be me. And what I realize now, um, what I realize through all of this is, you know, I looked at the Tesla trades I lost on, and I'm like, did I do something stupid? And I'm like, nah. Yeah, hindsight, I could have sold this one earlier when I was up, you know, $1,000 on a small Tesla position as opposed to, locking in a $3,000 loss or so. I could have done situations like that, which could have helped me, make money. But I looked at my trades. I approached myself in the third person and I said, you know what, Mark, you could do this. It's not a big deal. Just keep trading intelligently and you're going to be fine. We were blessed to find Amazon today. I don't know how many Amazon trades I did, maybe, a few dozen at least. And that for me was just absolutely huge. So, um, thank you for sharing your journey and so glad you got out of COVID, bro. Hi, Mark. I'm really enjoying the room. I am on home time from my regular job of driving a semi truck all over the country. Soon it might cost me more to be on the road versus off of it, which would be a great thing as it has taken a toll on my health. Sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm sure, if people are unaware of people who drive, semi trucks, all over the country, sleep deprivation, they're usually on drugs to stay awake. They rarely get enough sleep. They tend to eat like crap because they're just stopping by any gas station, whatever that they're pulling into, or like quick diner food, which is fried and greasy. I mean, so you're eating like crap, you're getting no sleep, you're completely overexerting yourself. I mean, That's a very tough job. I now have TC2000 set up, and today was the first day using it. I saw you have all these yellow spider web lines on your charts. I think you call them algos. How can I get those on my charts, and what do they represent? They represent my trend lines based on T3's number one selling course, Rules of Algorithmic Trend Lines. And it literally shows you support and resistance lines is what they represent. You learn them by drawing them. It could be a very important thing for you to do. You called one of these algo levels today on Amazon perfectly. Thank you. Right. So like we saw exactly where there was a good chance that Amazon would bounce, and it bounced. Next email. Hi, Mark. Hi. I'm having one of my better months of the year, but in true Mark fashion, I wanted to write a quick email to focus on two things I didn't do very well, or rather lessons learned during the month. Below are my trading results from December. If you remember, on the 21st, the bank buyback news came out. I was totally hyped up on the banks and figured this was a day to capitalize. Looking back, pretty much any time I've approached the day this way, is that it hasn't worked out well, right? So that's why I say every day, don't come in and say, I got to make money today. Just come in and say, I'm going to only trade if something smart that I'm good at sets up in front of me. That's it. And ironically, of course, you're bringing up the banks and maybe Goldman. This is when I did a video on Goldman Sachs. It was over this weekend here. And Goldman Sachs sort of exploded the entire time. That's the irony, of course. Um, Instead, it's better to always focus on taking smart trades. Exactly. I jumped in. Goldman Sachs calls at the open with size, even though there was a large spread. Long story short, I got filled at the esque and was immediately down $20,000 on 100 contracts. I believe the bid was $1.20 and the ask was $3.20 where I got filled. Painful lesson, but it was completely my fault. Then to make things worse, I tried to add to the position to average out my cost. Ended up selling and taking a substantial loss, even though the position ended up working out very well. Moral of the story is don't ever market into spread names at the open unless you're willing to lose 100% of your trade. Hopefully, this can save someone some pain down the road. Thank you. All right, so there's another part of your email as well that you separated by a picture. 2, my brother recently started trading with a small account, so I'm doing a small account challenge with him, starting with $5,000. It's actually a very good reminder of some of the different challenges that you face when trading a small account. I started by taking the account from 5,000 to 6,700, but I had a $400 loss today in that account. Trying to buy Baidu on the first 5-minute exponential 8 flush, it just kept going down. I found myself trading differently than I normally would due to having a small account. In particular, I noticed myself wanting to stay in a non-working trade longer because I knew that if I sold, my buying power would be gone for the day. So this is an excellent, excellent point you're bringing up here, that traders will hold on to losing trades for that reason. There's two reasons why traders hold on to a losing, well, more than two, but really three. Like the three biggest reasons I found that traders hold on to losing trades are they're in a prop account and they're past their stop loss limit, and if they sell out, they're locked out of their account. Or they have a small account like you're mentioning. If you sell out, you don't get the buying power back, so you'd be technically locked out because you wouldn't have money. And third, you don't like taking a loss for ego reasons and needing to make the money, and then you'll start doubling down. You'll do the opposite of selling out of a losing trade. You'll add in more. I imagine many people in the room face something similar when trading a small account, hoping that a trade will come back so they don't have to take a loss on the day. Hoping is not a strategy, and it's best to sell losers immediately. This is where Mark comes into my head. What do I do when I enter a trade? If it goes against me, I sell it. If it goes in my favor, I sell it. There really isn't any shortcut here to building from a small account. It takes time and consistency in doing the right things over and over again. Hope that's helpful to someone out there. Thanks, Mark. All right. So, shared a screenshot. And I can obviously see right here is the day you lost $17,000. You got crushed on Goldman spreads. But overall, you traded obviously very well. You're up still $76,000 for the month, and you actually had a very good day today too. Made 13 grand. So keep up the great work. That's how millionaires are made. Keep up the amazing work, brother. All right. All right. Marky Mark. I would love to take the algo course, Your Life's Work. I can tell it is an amazing body of work. However, I have tried at least 10 different approaches to profit from your daily algo levels that you post each night. None of them have each none of them have been profitable for me. My thought is that if I cannot profit from these levels, then perhaps it would not do me any good to take that algo line course, since I have proven that I do not know how to use these lines even if they're drawn correctly. See, again, terrible, terrible assumption. Maybe we'll not be able to use them profitably, but the truth is you don't know the answer to that question. Well, you think you do. That's the problem here, because you don't know the conviction of these algo lines. You don't know about the angles of the algo lines. You don't know what's more likely to make them worse. For example, where are you right now? Let's see how good you guys are in the room. Where are you more likely to see an increase of volume? At an ascending support line or a descending support line? Coming from above, going down. See? See all the people in the room? They know that descending, descending, descent, right? But you don't know these answers, so you don't even know what to expect to happen when the lines hit. So is there something in the course that would teach me how to profitably use these lines, or would you say that this course is just not for me in my pursuits of finding tremendous P&L consistency? Many thanks for your inputs. I have no idea. But I do know something you have no idea. Neither of us have an idea because trying to follow something without learning exactly what's happening is futile. It's almost like saying, Mark, I see Mark's trigger strategies and I can't make it work, but then did you learn how to front run? Did you learn on the triggers? Did you learn about the algorithmic increase of volume? No, but I just tried the triggers and it didn't work, so it doesn't work for me. That's a lazy way out, really. And it ends up just not being true. It just ends up not being true, unfortunately. Um, all right, let's see this next email. Hey Mark, seems like progress to me. Had one $43 loss today, green about $235.42. Bought the Disney call at 5.19. Most trades were about 2 minutes. Made money in just pretty much everything. So great job. That does seem like progress to me. And you wrote me the email twice and you explained yourself. That's okay. Let's see the next email. Hi, Mark, and all you sexy bandits. I was able to get some phone support for SSE. I am very new to Street Smart Edge, but the issue I was having was the first out of the money weekly calls and puts would change to another strike by themselves without me knowing. After talking with the support tech, I mentioned I was using someone else's layout that was shared with me. It then dawned on us that the SSE that was shared was probably an older version of the software. The fix was to close all three all-in-one trade tools, the common stock, the calls, and the puts window, and open three new ones and set them up as before, then save the layout to Schwab. I have some confidence that this was my issue. Hope all are doing well in your trading. I had a rough day, down $422, but wasn't that toxic. And I didn't tilt, just got chopped up. And mom always said there would be days like this. Hope this might help anyone else that is new to the SSE software. All love and respect to you all. Thank you so much for the information. And I tell people all the time, if you're having trouble with SSE, like just call them up. Just call them up on the phone. And the people who put in the most work and try to not take the lazy way out, those are the people who get the furthest. Hi, Mark. I've been in the Newsbeat Live group for about a year and a half now, and it's first time writing in. Hmm. Been in the Newsbeat Live group for a year and a half, first time writing in. Lately, I've been watching and listening more on a daily basis and following most of your trades. I've been learning your techniques. I still have a lot to learn. I was following your Amazon setup callouts today and took 8 of the trades. I took the trades in Apple and Disney earlier as well. I was profitable in 8 of the 10 trades in Thinkorswim. I have traded Amazon in paper trades before. Today was the first time I traded Amazon with real money. I traded only one contract each time. It was scary at first, but it got easier after the first one. The prior weeks of paper trading really helped. And yeah, I tell you, as long as you have a system, people, you could paper trade incorrectly, and that sort of throws people off. And I'm glad you brought this up because you have those people out there who like their paper trading. What are you doing? It's like, I made like $170,000 paper trading, and it's like, stop, stop, just stop. What strategy are you doing? Oh, none. I'm just buying when I feel like it, and then you're just reinforcing bad habits. During today's session and in other prior sessions, you mentioned an R2 and R3. I assume those are resistance levels. They're actually pivot levels right over here that are offered for free on free stock charts and or TC2000. Literally, if you just click this green level here, you'll see something called pivot points, and that's all it is. That's all these levels are, pivot points. Are they part of the support resistance levels you post in the evening? They're not. If not, where can I find those levels? By just adding pivot points on your TC2000 or free stock charts. That's how I do it. I don't know what they would look like on other platforms. Also, I haven't fully started using Street Smart Edge yet. I do have it set up. I did 2 1 contract trades on Apple this morning using SSE. Both trades were profitable. I put in only $20,000 to set up the account. If Schwab follows the 3-day pattern day trader rule, I think I have one more trade to go before they bring the boom down on me. A lot of traders, and again, call up the broker and double check. A lot of traders can trade as much money in their account through options as they have. So you could trade, as many trades as you want, up to the $20,000, for example. Again, I can't confirm this is what your broker does, but call them up and ask them about a cash account and see what they have to say, if that is what you want, of course. You said, you're saying you think you have one more day trade before they go boom on you. Maybe not if you had a cash account and not margin. I've been using Thinkorswim and have been able to make scalp trades. It's a bit clunky, but I can still do it. I do want to move to Street Smart Edge soon, but I'm not fully comfortable with it yet. Schwab doesn't have a fully functional paper trading system like Thinkorswim. I wish they did. SSE demo mode allows you to execute trades, but it doesn't give you fill info. Maybe I should just add more funds to my initial SSE deposit. I can't tell you to add funds into your account, of course. Thank you for all you do for us. You are very welcome. Hope that you definitely write in a lot more. It's always great to see you write in. And I know that was your first time, and I say always, but I mean that always. Feel free to write in. Good morning, my brother. I hope you had an awesome holiday. Just want to give you a quick update on my trading today. On Thursday, I took a couple, 92 Goldman Sachs calls, 300 calls at 37 cents. Made a little bit of money on it. Moved on to the next trade. Took a couple Crowd 220 puts, a couple 650 Tesla puts. Made a little money on those too. Did a couple small losses, but nothing that could hurt me or tell me. I'm extremely thankful for all your feedback, constant hustle, and your relentless commitment to your extended family. Newsbeat Live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm super happy because I took out $2,000 on Thursday. I didn't need to do that, but something told me to take and secure the money, and I did it. Yep, on my small cash account, I've been able to sextract about $5,500 this month. Why am I sharing this? Well, because I know there are family members in the room having a tough time, possibly wanting to give up. That's okay. Just know that you can do this. Yes, you can turn a sub $500 account profitable. What's helped me? Shorter trades and swings. When you give your opinion for educational purposes only on a stock, I take a little bit of my account profits and swing on that. But I take the money as soon as I see profits on swings. Perfect example is Goldman Sachs today. Sold it relatively close to the open. I didn't, still don't care that it continued to move up. Simply took my money and ran. I rarely trade past 11 anymore. No need to do it. I tend to tilt after 10:30. I realize that I am no longer comfortable taking large losses or waiting for the stock to move in the direction I need it to go. If I don't see it going my way, it's out. Super rapido. Like I don't even want to make it I don't want to make it breakfast. I simply call it a shared Uber and let her go. Wow. So again, very impressive screenshot here for those with small accounts. His account was $398.89 on November 23rd and got the account to $13,400 in a month. Really, really impressive. Taking money out all the time, going really solid day with a small account. Done trading by 7:44 a.m. Pacific Standard. Made 1,000 on CrowdStrike, 500 on Goldman. Bunch of trades there. Solid for a 2,000 plus dollar day. Great job. Great work. Keep up the awesomeness. All right, so this is, and of course, namaste. Let's go see. This is the Israeli gentleman. Hi, Mark. How are you? Good week. It was not easy for me today. I have a question for education only, not technically, but mentally. I think to myself, without Baidu's trades, I'm making a total of $25. I also think to myself that if I had done Tesla's first trade, I probably would have closed a big loser. That would have probably have ruined the account and mentally exhausted me. I cannot afford to play some mistakes at all. I'm confused now. Can you help me? Again, for educational only. 5 for 5 today. 5 for 5 today. 8 wins and 7 losses. So 5 for 5 for the week, I guess. I really try to be profitable in every trade I do. Do only what I understand well. Cut losses fast. Cut profits relatively fast. Thank you. Have a blessed week. Went ahead and he shared a picture here. All right. So, obviously you're making money. Obviously, you're in a much different place than you were before. You're only trading on a computer now. And I can't really say what would have happened if you took Tesla's first trade. I think that's sort of difficult for me to answer in more of a logical format. But I will say that just keep, doing what you feel is the right thing, and just keep trading as that. And I'll revert back and I'll talk about my $7,000 in losses in Tesla today. And we could look at the Tesla chart as well. Like I'm looking at Tesla. Don't I don't look at myself doing a lot wrong in Tesla today, whether it was this trade, whether then, Mark 5 right here. I really don't look at this Tesla as a sort of like, oh, you screwed up, you did the wrong thing. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that traders make is they look at their P&L to decide if they did well or not. They'll look at their P&L and L and they said, I did good because my numbers are here. I did not do good because my numbers are here. And the truth is, when I was down $7,000 and I was able to have a nice five-figure day today, when I was down the $7,000, how I got to that nice five-figure day, how I actually got there, was by looking over my own trades and saying, you know what, Mark, you did not do anything wrong. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. You did exactly everything that you were supposed to do. And by people actually going ahead and doing things like that, I was able to get to that next level. I was able to get to the next level of where I needed to go on the day. Maybe I would have lost more money, maybe not. But the whole point was, you can lose money in an intelligent fashion. You could lose money in a stupid fashion. People who are sitting there, they're just doubling into all their losing trades, trying to get a better average price. A lot of times, I would even argue most of the time, you're going to come back and make money. Great strategy, right? But then comes the one, and that's sarcasm, by the way. And then, of course, comes the day where you just blow out and you're like, well, you look at your results and then you say, I would be doing fine if I didn't have those 1, 2, 3 blowout days. How many people can relate with that statement? You look over your P&L, I know how to do this. I got this. If not for those 1, 2, 3 blow up days, I would be doing fine right now. How many people have gone through that? I have. I have. And maybe I'm just sick and tired of traders and gurus making excuses for for themselves and the people around them. The truth is, if you're a trader, you're supposed to succeed. You're not stupid. The smartest people I know go through this entire process. It's completely psychological. It has nothing to do with where you graduated. Oh, he's a PhD at Harvard. Whoop-de-doo. He couldn't trade his way out of a urine-soaked brown paper bag, most likely. And that's what people have to realize, that no degrees, your upbringing in life has a lot to do with it, but at the end of the day, there's a certain process that I have found that I feel, just based on what I see, again, that can work for the majority of people around you. And that's a very strong word in our industry, because the majority of people fail. The majority of people lose money. I want to get to the point where I can help the majority of the people around me. And I base it just off, a silly little poll asking people if they're tremendously consistently profitable inside my service. And they say, we get a lot more yeses than nos when I ask the polls. And the whole point is, what I do here is try to get people to that level. And I keep trying to improve myself so I can help them get further to that level. It's things like this which make us so successful here in the Newsbeat Live Room. And from the bottom of my heart, I hope you guys enjoyed this little trading psychology talk and Newsbeat Live Ask Mark show. Happy trading, make money. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the Newsbeat live trading broadcast. Links in the description if you're interested in anything